Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're going to uncover the actual truth behind those viral news headlines you've inevitably seen popping up on your feeds. You know the ones. They promise a spectacular, rare planetary alignment in our night sky that you absolutely cannot miss. We have all seen these hyped-up media reports. They almost always come with this breathless claim, something like, "This lineup will not repeat for another 150,000 years." I mean, they make it sound like the ultimate, once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event, right? Like you need to drop absolutely everything you're doing and grab a telescope immediately.
But before we completely fall for the hype, we really have to ask a fundamental question. What does a planetary alignment actually mean? Intuitively, you might look at that term and think the planets are suddenly queuing up in a perfect straight line out in the vacuum of space, like they're waiting for ice cream or something. It paints this super specific picture in our minds of celestial bodies deciding to line up like a cosmic string of pearls. But is that really what's happening up there?
To solve this mystery, let's look at Part 1, the Solar System Pancake.
So about 250 years ago, scientists figured out that our solar system didn't just pop into existence randomly. It started as a massive gas cloud drifting in deep space. Over time, gravity caused this immense cloud to collapse into a giant, spinning pancake. And within that flat middle section, the planets gradually formed, with our sun sitting right in the very center, anchoring the whole shebang together. This origin story is absolutely crucial because it brilliantly explains why all of the major planets orbit the sun in the exact same flat geometric plane, traveling in the exact same direction around our star. If they had just flown in randomly from deep space, we'd have chaotic orbits going every which way. But because they were all born from that exact same spinning dough, they share that flattened geometric plane to this very day.
Now, there is a fascinating exception to the rule here, and that's Pluto. While the classical planets orbit predictably on that same flattened plane, Pluto kind of marches to the beat of its own drum, orbiting 30 degrees out of this plane. This tilted, offbeat orbit is just one of the many reasons why Pluto was reclassified and put into a category of its own. It literally has its own rhythm.
This brings us to Part 2, a line in the sky.
Because we live on a spherical ball, at any given moment, we can only see half the sky, right? The other half is blocked by the Earth itself. But here's the real kicker. We are stationed on one of these planets, looking outward from inside that flat planetary plane. We aren't looking down on the pancake from above, we are embedded right inside the dough. So the crucial point is that if you take a flat circle or a flat plane and look at it directly from its edge, it appears exactly like a straight line. Think about holding a whole pizza right at eye level. You don't see a giant circle anymore, you just see a flat line of crust. That is exactly what is happening when we look out into the solar system.
Because we are inside that flat plane looking outward, the planets are always aligned in an arc across our sky. Every single night, without fail, the planets are always aligned, period. If you see the moon on one side and Venus on the other, you can mentally draw an arc between them. Any other planets visible that night will absolutely fall along that exact same line. It's not a rare event, it's just a permanent feature of our solar system's geometry.
Before we tackle the mathematical myths of these so-called alignments, let's jump to Part 3, the Wanderers and our Week.
The 7 classical planets of antiquity, the objects that noticeably wandered along this exact line in the sky against the backdrop of fixed stars, literally shaped our calendar. The ancient Greeks called them planetes, which just means wanderers. The Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn literally gave us the capitalized names for the 7 days of the week across Greek, Roman, and Norse mythologies. For example, Jupiter, or Zeus, equates to the Norse god Thor, giving us Thursday. So every time you write down a day of the week, you are referencing these planetary wanderers that trace that permanent line across our sky.
That brings us to Part 4, why every night is rare.
Let's jump back to debunking the news media's favorite trick to get you to click on their articles. They love to throw a massive number at you, like 150,000. They want to convince you that a specific lineup is so exceptionally rare that it won't repeat for hundreds of thousands of years, making you feel like you're missing out on the event of a millennium.
While the math on that 150,000-year cycle might technically be correct, here is the brutal reality. Because all of the planets orbit the sun at completely different speeds, and we are constantly getting new angles as we orbit alongside them, the exact geometric configuration of every single night is equally rare. Literally, the sky you see tonight won't perfectly repeat for another 150,000 years either.
To quote a famous line from the villain in the movie The Incredibles, "If everyone is special, then nobody is special."
It is totally possible for a specific mathematical arrangement to be incredibly rare, but completely uninteresting visually. If every single night is mathematically special and unique, then no night is practically special when it comes to simply seeing planets in a line.
I'm not telling you this to be a downer, though, which brings us to part 5. Look for conjunctions instead. There actually is a spectacular celestial phenomenon you should absolutely drag your binoculars out to see. What you really want to look for is a conjunction. That's the actual astronomical term for when at least 3 celestial objects, which can definitely include the moon, are clustered closely together in the same part of the sky. They happen to sit so close together in our line of sight that you can view several of them in a single glance. Now that is an event worth stepping outside for.
Let's wrap up this explainer and review our key takeaways. First, just ignore the clickbait alignment hype that floods the news. Second, always remember the solar system pancake geometry. Because we are inside it, every night features a line of planets. They are literally always aligned. And finally, save your excitement and your late-night stargazing for true conjunctions.
Which leaves us with one final thought. Next time the news announces a rare planetary alignment, will you fall for the hype or will you remember the pancake? Now that you know exactly how our solar system operates, will you let the media dictate your stargazing or will you use the real mechanics of the universe to guide your curiosity? Keep looking up, but do it with the actual physics of the cosmos in mind.